Hello, this is Joan Friedman, and this program is All Ways, ALL Ways, for the Academy for Lifelong Learning at Cape Cod Community College on beautiful Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The mission of this program is to expand our outreach to new members and hopefully to new instructors as well. We will be reopening in the fall with in-person and with Zoom classes, and in the very near future might be having hybrid classes as well, so stay tuned for that exciting news. One of the reasons that I believe that the Academy for Lifelong Learning at Cape Cod Community College is such an outstanding center of adult learning is due to our instructors. Cape Cod, in all its natural beauty, attracts many people, and our instructional base of professionals and retired professionals here on Cape Cod is in a special league. I have one of our instructors with me today. I have Mary Joyce today. Mary's going to talk with us about her background, about why she likes the Academy for Lifelong Learning, the courses that she's taken, and the courses that she's taught in the past. So, Mary, with that, could you tell us about yourself?
Yes, my name is Mary Joyce, and I am living in Yarmouthport on Cape Cod. I am a lifelong lover of books and a connoisseur of beaches. I was born and raised in Boston, educated at local parish schools. I graduated from Emmanuel College, and I have a master's degree from Framingham State University. I taught fifth grade in Weymouth for 3 years, and I love teaching. Since I was a very little girl, I played teacher to my younger siblings. I married my lifelong sweetheart when he returned from Navy duty assignment in the Korean War. I spent the next 25 years in a very traditional sort of life, raising a large family in Holliston, which is a suburb of Boston. As my Uncle Charlie said, it's too far from Boston. It's practically in New Hampshire. As the children grew up, and the last one registered for first grade, I returned to teaching, my big love. I think that I was a somewhat wiser teacher after being home raising my children. I think I learned a little bit about parents and children, and especially childhood education. I taught for the next 25 years, involved in the local boards, the library, and the Girl Scouts, and I was active in civic offense of the typical small town. I also took classes in adult education at the local high school. We had bought our house on the Cape, our someday dream, in 91. But we didn't move here full time for another 12 years. I was learning more and more about the Cape every time we came, beyond my original idea of the just natural beauty and beaches. When we moved here, I knew from several friends that the Cape Cod Community College had an interesting program for us retired people. I inquired, registered, and became a member of ALL, aptly named because it was truly an academy of lifelong learning. It became a source of almost all my life on the Cape, except for the beaches. There, in the community of other retired people, I found stimulation, satisfaction, enjoyment, enrichment, and most of all, friendship. There was an expansive list of courses from which to choose, everything from how the brain works to historical history and historians, to yoga, to opera. Lifelong learning itself had been something that I had always cared about. I always loved books and beaches in equal measure. ALL was the place where I chose to be if I were not at the beach. I tended to take literature courses or philosophy or history courses, and there were many others in science and music and anthropology that I didn't take. But my courses were mostly in literature, philosophy, and history. The first course I ever took was called Dawn to Decadence, A History of Civilization. The teacher was terrific. The subject matter, a book by Jacques Bazin, was fascinating. The classroom conversation was stimulating, to say the least. My classmates were smart, funny, and warmly welcoming. Some of these people, Susie and Pat and Ann, came to be my dearest friends. That was 19 years ago. I took more classes through the years: the British and Irish poets, the Israeli war, the great operas, women in literature, Shakespeare, Greek mythology. I can't even remember all of them, but those were my favorites. Several years ago, in my career at ALL, I was in a class one morning, probably about 9 or 10 years ago, and it was a class called Great Books, and it was a wonderful class, and I was really enjoying it. But one day, the teacher, and now remember, all of us were volunteers there who taught, did not show up for class. Great consternation ensued. Everyone was mystified. No one ever missed a class, certainly not the teacher. But I went out to notify the desk as the class decided to continue the class discussion on our own. I left the class to get more information and learned sadly that the teacher had been taken to the emergency room, and I think it was pretty serious. We all showed up for class the next week, hopeful, of course, that the teacher would be there. He was not. Again, I went to the desk to report him as absent and was told he was seriously ill, and for me to tell the class that it would have to be discontinued. When I informed the class that it was going to be discontinued, some voice from the back said, "Well, Mary, while you were out, we decided that if the teacher wasn't going to come, we want you to continue as the instructor." Somewhat embarrassed, to say the least, I agreed after I was assured that everyone would pitch in. Since I had already taken the course the previous semesters, I knew that this group would practically run itself. All I had to do was introduce the next great book selection and pose a few questions to start the conversation going. And it did. And a great conversation ensued. That was my first hour of my first week of teaching great books, which soon became my weekly task, my weekly joy. Thus, I became the Great Books leader for the next several years, and only a pandemic could shut us down. Maybe I should add that while I was at ALL, I took part in the annual anthology Reflections. I was a part-time editor and a contributor sometimes. This is an anthology that is published every year, and it is composed of student writing. And some of it is exceptional, and all of it's good. I served as one of the contributors and editors for several years. Now that's my story of my life at ALL. I found more than I was looking for. I found stimulation, satisfaction, employment, of course unpaid, and enjoyment. And I must add, and friendship. Wonderful friends. That's it, Joan. That's about what I can remember to tell you, everyone, about ALL and my time there.
Mary, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful story with us about how you found a community at the Academy of Lifelong Learning and how you became a beloved member there, that the literature courses are very popular. There are a lot of people who retire and want to spend more time either reading or writing, and I know that your courses were very, very popular, and I can't thank you enough for spending your time with me today and for hopefully reaching out to a new audience and getting them interested to walk the journey that you walked. to walk the journey that I'm walking now, which is pretty much the same thing. I retired and came down here and looked for some structure and found much more than I was anticipating in terms of the quality of instructors. So thank you again, Mary. And thank you to our audience. If you want to know more about us, please contact us at the Academy for Lifelong Learning at capecod.edu. So that's the Academy for Lifelong Learning at capecod.edu. You can request a catalog or request to be put on our mailing list. As I said before, that our digital catalog should be published in about August of this year. We are offering 74 courses that run the gamut from, I think, playing backgammon to the Hubble telescope to movies and my course, which is going to be Welcome Washer Shores. So thank you very much for listening to us this evening, and good night.